So over the weekend, Saturday to be exact, I'm home chilling and was randomly met with a comment under our Christian superheroes in a superpowered world video asking, what do you think is a Christian friendly way to discuss racism by a metaphor instead of using mutant superpowers? So in my state of confusion, I responded, I'm honestly a bit confused by the question. Can't you elaborate or use an example to bring things across? And their response was, the mutant superheroes in X-Men are intended as an allegory for oppressed ethnic groups, example Black America. The ironic thing about all of this is that this week's Christian fiction breakdown video that you are watching right now is about Parables of the Remnant issue 0. How does that tie into the comment? Call me a coon, call me an Uncle Tom, a house nigger, or an Uncle Ruckus. I don't really care. You judge me because I dared to reject the narrative, because I refuse to be what you say I should be. You laugh and say I'm trying to be white because I speak properly and vote conservatively. You say I am blind, yet I see through the manipulation. I refuse to follow the narrative. I will not jump when they scream racism. I reject the words and ideas of the world. I will stand for truth, and through that I love my fellow man. Because red, yellow, black or white, we are precious in his sight.
Jesus loves the little children of the world.
Man, I love that song in Sunday school. And I must ask you guys, do you think that was a Christian friendly way to cover racism? Or was it too harsh or inappropriate for mixing the N-word into the monologue? For me personally, knowing the context of Jillian's story, which we covered in a previous installment of our Remnant coverage series, as well as this being the face and the skin tone behind the voice you are hearing right now, who went down his whole get back to your African roots my brother phase. The Bible is a white man's book used to bring us across in the slave trade. The only time my ancestors ever heard about Jesus was during the African slave trade, this, that, the other. Even being a fella when he was younger that traded his golden cross pendant that he had since he knew how to form words for a golden ankh, because I was getting back to my African roots and this, that, the other. The ankh represent life and the cross represent death and this and all. The whole shebang. Where I'll just give you guys a funny. We didn't understand really American racism to at least for me personally, me and my siblings and stuff, because we're black. So we in the Caribbean, it's predominantly black and Indian, especially in Trinidad and Tobago where I have lived all my life. So the concept, actually one thing that startled me was when I remember during 2020, the whole stuff that went through 2020, hearing that a black person can't be racist. It was one of the most perplexing things that I needed to understand, how example, because I mean, when seeing white people as minority in Trinidad and Tobago, it's what do you mean black people can't be racist? I've seen racist black people for so long, so it's just geez, I just going on that tangent just to explain for me, I like the portrayal, especially when it comes to dealing with racism from a Christian perspective. We are all God's people, from whatever you're Indian, black, Chinese, wherever part of the world you are from. And when dealing with racism, for me personally, from a Christian perspective, it's to tackle it head on. You don't need to go down the route of trying to sugarcoat it or make it into an allegory. Address it how it is, address it directly how it is, but ultimately point it back to God. Yeah, that's never a tangent I thought I would have ever had to do on the channel, but that's where we are. Thanks, Bill. So for those of you joining us for the first time and wondering why and who is this falcon-looking fella renouncing racism and quoting Sunday school song lyrics, well, this is the 10th installment of our coverage of the Christian comic book series The Remnant, a story about a superhero-filled world that is currently experiencing the rise of the Antichrist before his appointed time. Adopting the name The Remnant, the special group of God-fearing heroes fight alongside John the Apostle, who is still alive, to push back against the rampant rise of wickedness in the last days. And yes, it is actually as crazy as that sounded. But in my honest opinion, the series has been well crafted and the story strikes the perfect balance of being really entertaining and over the top while also being extremely edifying. If Christian superhero PTSD therapy sessions and seeing John the Apostle as a 21st century Christian activist is your kind of thing, then why not consider leaving a like on the video and even subscribing for our continued coverage of this series, along with other Christian and non-Christian fictional stories, with emphasis on those that have comic panels like this. As a lesson from God. That is too much to go down. We just skip that. Don't even think about that. Makari and Ajax have a bunch of back and forths about truths. The dreaming celestial was supposed to bring them salvation in a sense, but that was a lie, as it was destroyed by the mutants and Makari mourned for it. But in that morning, she understood. Your gods made us, chained us to a task, and now abandon us. We owe them nothing. I have seen my God used in parts for strange clone schemes. We have no God. There is a gap, a hole in heaven. She proposes the idea of making a new God to Ajax, which through it they will be able to write a new covenant together and a future. Read this panel for yourself. We kick things off with John and Jolene comforting Eli as he blames himself for his brother's suicide while visiting his grave, recounting all the ways he could have helped his brother but ignored him as he was busy with his own life, even especially during his brother's lowest point that led him to taking his own life. But John tells him that despite everything which had happened, we ultimately have no power over the actions and decisions of others. Carry the part that belongs to you, but not the entire blame. Honor Adrian's legacy by doing better and being better. But with all the encouragement he got from John and Jolene, the death of his brother still affected him greatly in every way. He was distracted and unfocused during his MMA training sessions. And just for context, Eli is a well-renowned MMA fighter in the world of the Remnant, to which his coach instructs him to not come back into the ring until he got himself sorted. Eli instead took to the night sky and cleaned up the streets in his thief in the night attire. But during his night patrol, he receives a call from his mother, who informs him that his brother's grave was defaced. Perplexed, he heads over to it immediately, only to see it completely destroyed, vowing that whoever did such a thing will pay very soon. As Eli is surveying the area for clues, a costumed ESP approaches him from behind and taunts him. ESP meets enhanced superperson in the world of the realm. Just giving context for you guys. Eli rightfully, in my opinion, attacks the ESP, knocking him to the ground. But as they are on the ground, he calls Eli's name, to which he immediately picks up on the voice and goes into a state of shock and doubt. It's none other than his dead brother Adrian, asking, "Hey break bro, miss me? How in the world is his brother still alive?" Well, we shall find out in the future. In this issue of Parables, we are also given the bio of Gemstar and Man of War, which I'll read for you guys because it's a really funny read. They call me Gemstar, but I wasn't always the flashy supergirl I am today. And yes, I love to joke and have fun. I was a pretty ordinary girly girl. Didn't think I'll ever say that. I loved my boy bands, being stylish, and hanging out with my friends. Most of all, I loved ESPs. I was fascinated by people who would so selfishly risk their lives for others. My parents were conservative and thought I was idol worshipping, but really it was just innocent admiration, something to aspire to. When I would talk about heroes with my friends, especially about that cute Raython, they can't say that either, they would just roll their eyes, but still, I loved talking about them. I never in a million years thought that one day I would be a hero. I must admit that a day didn't go by that I didn't pray that God would allow me the honor of being an ESP. Then one day my prayers would be answered. One ordinary day, something extraordinary happened in Silent City. The ESP known as Blue Flame, a real jerk, began attacking the city for some reason. Guess who came to the rescue? Yes, Raython. Although I should have fled and found a safe place, I stood there and watched, cheering for my hero. During the battle, some sort of rip in the sky appeared and Raython and Blue Flame were sucked into it, but not before a huge downpour of debris. I was struck in the head and knocked unconscious. That is fun. Sorry. When I woke, there was a beautiful glowing gem in the rubble around me, so I took it and made a nice necklace out of it. I noticed that when I wore the gem, I felt more alive, stronger, and one day I found myself floating off the ground. So what did I do? Panic? Fear? No. I made a costume and became a hero. Not long after putting on the costume, the hero Grok came to visit and offered me a training position with the underground group, the Tribulation Task Force. My dream did come true, but now the hard part begins. learning what this gem can do and how to best use it in service of others. But even still, I am just an ordinary girl at heart. Gemstar is one of those, like random civilians in those superhero movies that they see in the big brawl, but instead of running to the evacuation point, they just stand up on the sidewalk looking at what's going on. That's a picture I got in my head when I said like a debris hit me unconscious. I was like, that's what I said. That was funny because I pictured that while reading. Oh jeez. On to Man of War. I am the old timer of the group, and they all love to remind me of that fact. I have lived an exciting and productive life of service to God, my country, and fellow man. I started out in the military, worked my way up to a leadership position. A mystery illness took me out of the game for a while. Undergoing some experimental treatments caused me to bounce back. The way treatments not only cured me but also gave me incredible strength, speed, and coordination. Unable to return to the military, I became a costumed adventurer. I called myself Man of War. The military that rejected me would now want me back for covert missions. I did my job so well that the president himself asked me to put together an elite team to help the war effort. We call ourselves the Friend of Justice. We battled the Nazis in Germany and helped advance victory for our allies. Our team was traumatized by the horrors we encountered and eventually abandoned the team and our costumed identities. I spent the rest of my career behind a desk and on my own time. I monitored the emergence of new heroes called ESPs by the media. When it was finally time to retire, I was given a new mission. Brock asked me to help train and guide the last generation of heroes. On a mission that was from God himself, how could I turn that down? So here I am, Man of War again, the old man with all the knowledge and wisdom, or so I think. And with that, let's rate this issue according to our Christian fiction judgment scale. For the story, it's a 3.5 out of 5. Pretty cool read and a deeper dive into Thief in the Night story, who is my favorite Remnant hero, to be honest. As well as setting up something for the future with his brother. The deep dive into Gemstar and Man of War also was pretty cool, as well as Southwark's refutation of racism for me was all a good read. Artwork and creativity 5 out of 5. Need I explain why? I personally don't think I need to. Theological basis, which refers to how well Christian principles, theology, and scripture is adopted into a piece of Christian fictional work, 5 out of 5. Though this issue didn't have scriptures in it, I like the way they handle the topic of grief and blame from a Christian perspective, as well as racism in Southwark's monologue. Lastly, my enjoyment and how likely I am to recommend it is a 3.5 out of 5. It simply was a cool read and a deeper dive into the solo stories of the heroes of the Remnant. My only issue is there definitely is a continuity error in this panel with the gravestone. The gravestone says Eli Caldwell on it. However, Eli is Thief in the Night, the man standing in front of the gravestone with John and Jeline at his side, mourning the death of his brother Adrian. Therefore, the gravestone should say Adrian Caldwell. I don't know if I have a mistaken, but that's just something that confused me during my initial reading and understanding of who is who in this story thus far. But overall, Parables of the Remnant issue 0 gets a 4 out of 5 from the Xplanations. Let me know what you think of the comic based on what was discussed in the comments below. Links to purchase all the Remnant comics will be in the description, as my breakdown will never be able to do the story and artwork justice, as well as encouraging you to support and buy these Christian alternatives to the current landscape of fiction that is progressively getting worse, with blatantly twisting the word of God and introducing all manners of things into the stories, and even have non-Christians sick and tired of it. If you enjoyed the video, then please consider leaving a like and subscribing for more of these that I aim to push these comics that actually present great Christian values and messages in an entertaining way that doesn't come across as cringy or too preachy in my opinion. But that's not all you'll find on the channel, as we also do live streams creating small-scale video games inspired by Christian fictional stories and biblical events. If you would like to come and check it out, then we are live on Wednesdays after 8:30 p.m. and on Fridays after 7 p.m. Atlantic Standard Time, currently making a small-scale Christian action RPG in the new Fortnite Unreal Engine editor. If you enjoyed the video to the point you are looking to check out another one of our videos, then you can click the card at the top right hand corner of your screen to continue down the Remnant playlist. Or you can check out this video where I go a little bit more in depth on my personal conviction towards fiction involving the worship of false gods, especially since in my younger years I went down the whole path of getting back to African roots and the Bible is a lie and this, that and the other, and it's all about the old gods that they took away from us and etc. I can guarantee that if you're intrigued by the intro of the video, then you most likely will enjoy.